Founders Beta. I'm so excited to be with you today. I have two great founders here from Hopin Technologies. So maybe introduce yourself and tell us what you're working on.
I'm Eric. I'm the co-founder and CEO. Hopin is a logistics and planning software company, and we help companies with the daily commute. So we organize shuttles for them and then offer the data and metrics tracking for it as well.
My name is Boyd. I'm the co-founder and COO of Hopin.
Awesome, great. So how did you guys come up with this idea? Like, what was the inspiration?
To be quite honest, we hated our commute.
Okay.
He used to drive on the 401 every day. I would take 2 buses and a train to get in.
Oh, wow.
And one morning, I think it was like 3 a.m, I called him and said, we need to do this.
I figured out a solution.
Yeah. And then just started from there, right? Yeah, that's great. So what happened after you had the call? You're like, should we sit down and talk about this more seriously, or what was the thought process?
I let him go back to bed first.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that makes sense.
We actually started in my parents' basement.
Oh, no way.
Stickies on the wall and everything.
Everywhere.
Yeah, trying to figure out what to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, awesome. And talk about like, how did you guys meet? Like, go back from the very beginning, because we have a lot of members on Founders Beta that are looking for co-founders, but like, it's always a challenge. So maybe talk about how did you guys meet? Yeah.
We met in high school, grade 9. I guess we weren't as close in high school. We knew each other. We
Right.
we had some similar classes,
Right.
but it wasn't until like afterwards, and we had like I remember like literally one night we bonded like very, very closely, and we started hanging out a lot more often.
Right.
And then we just realized that we just had just like this deeper connection of just understanding each other. Yeah.
Awesome. And then what happened after? So you got together, you started working on it. Was that like early after university, or like how did it happen?
We both worked for a few years.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was in sales with a company. I was in the government.
No
And,
way. Wow.
We actually talked about opening a bar first.
Wow, that's
It's
crazy.
still a dream, but
Yeah. On
we
the side,
realized-
maybe. On the
Yeah.
side projects, right? So then you started just working right away on the idea, and then.
yeah.
Okay.
I jumped in full time first, and then he joined me a few months later.
Awesome. Very, very exciting. So talk about the progress of the startup. Like, it's so hard to get an idea, build something, and maybe talk about your progress. Like, how far have you come? Or,
Sure.
yeah.
So we are fully operational now. We've run a few pilots in the summertime, and we're actually in the middle of a raise as well. So we're just gearing up with the sales funnel. Everything's kind of going, and we're starting to churn out. But the summer is always, of course, a little bit slower.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because you get those away from the office
Yes.
email, right? I'm
All
out
the
of the
time.
office,
All the
right?
time.
Yeah, like reach out to me in September. Yeah. Oh, I totally see that happening right now. So with a lot of startups still trying to do business, but yeah, that's great. Okay, so maybe talk about let's go back to the co-founder relationship, and you guys met and you knew each other. Like, maybe provide some tips on like communication, like you guys commute on a daily basis, and any sort of ideas there.
Yeah. You want
Sure. So we are best friends.
Totally. I can see that.
But it's I think you have to be perfectly candid all the time, right?
Right.
Not just about the business, but everything else.
Right.
We can talk about anything at any time, and we do, and we make sure that we actually dedicate a certain amount of time every day to just airing out whatever we feel. We
Right.
think. I think a lot of startups actually end up going to marriage counseling to work on this stuff.
Yeah.
We kind of facilitate our own.
Yeah.
every day.
That's right. Because I think the challenge with like co-founder is like you want to deliver the good news, but also bad news as well in a startup, right? Like have that transparency. I think is, like you said, it's such a key.
Yeah.
So any other tips that might come to mind? Like, do you take your team out or together, or?
We box once a week. We fight each other.
Oh yeah. All right.
I think what happens is like it's the friendship aspect that helped it along, but it's also
Right.
It's a lot more than that as well. You also have to learn how we work together and stuff like that. And like growing those, and then also find things outside of work to do together. So we're in the office all the time, and
That's
we
right.
also have to hang out and like
Right.
box like you said, and try to find out those things like that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's actually a really good tip to have some kind of common interest outside too. Because you literally spend more time with your co-founder or team members than anyone else,
It's
right?
true.
Like
It's
on
true.
a daily basis. Like probably more than 8 hours. Crazy, right? So you get those ideas in the middle of night on Slack, right? It's like, oh my God, we should do this or pivot. But yeah, I mean, that's almost like, that's what's needed. So great. So talk about maybe a little bit about team building. So you met your co-founder. Like, how did you go about like recruiting other people to come on board and kind of get them excited? Because it's always hard, in the beginning. It's like a startup, you maybe have a product, but maybe not much of like attraction or, not much money even, right? It's like, how do you get people excited to join?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it centers around like, a lot of people actually seem to fall in love with the startup culture even more so than the idea at first. They like the idea of like building something for themselves. And then the next step is like in really sharing and communicating what we're trying to build and the bigger vision. And then also showing like their role in that as well. Because at the early stages of a startup, right, everyone that's part of that core team is very much so like creating the foundation. So I think that's exciting for a lot of people, especially like even when I started like from like more of a corporate life to more of the startup, the fact that I was just building something was just like the most exciting thing about it.
That's right. Yeah.
They're hungry. They wanna be in it. They want to make a difference.
Right.
We give them the platform for that.
Awesome. Yeah, because I think the potential upside of the startup is huge, right? Like, I mean, really, it's only upside, right?
Yeah.
So, because you're building something from scratch, you're trying to, continue to grow. But, and I think for some people it's great because they get to also work on different skills too, right? It's not just like a little thing, they do like a big company, right? It's like they try to do different things, but yeah, I think those are some great tips for our audience. Okay, how about let's move on to the next question. So tell me about some of the resources that helped you along the way. Of course, besides Founders Beta, right? This is where I get to promote my thing, right? So yeah, plugging in there, but maybe talk about like resources, like mentors, programs, different things. Yeah.
I mean, I think first and foremost, we've been in contact for a while now.
Yeah, I know. We got connected, and it was so funny. We met online first, and then offline. So I think turned out well. Yeah.
But I think it really does take a village. We've had a lot of support from the beginning.
Right.
It started with the Legal Innovation Zone, the DMZ.
Right.
Y-Space is our incubator now in Markham.
Yes.
And David Kwok is phenomenal there.
Awesome.
And then I just graduated Next 36 this year.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. So all of them together have offered like founder support, mentorship in different ways.
Right.
Of course, capital resources helps as well from some of them.
Oh, for sure.
But kind of combining all of that together,
right.
It's been a bit of a ride, but it's been amazing.
Awesome, great. Any other resources you might recommend?
I mean, I think just like mentors and like open up to networks and stuff
right.
like that. I think one thing that I almost wish I did more when I was younger was really take advantage of networks and people around
right.
me.
Right.
Asking people who may not even be directly in the field, not even in startup, just but people you look up to, just getting their advice and having them direct. It's been very, very helpful in terms of like, understanding different parts of the not only the network but and the market, but different parts of business that you may not recognize by yourself. Right. Yeah.
Also, I think for inspiration as well, right? Because you want to stay motivated. I think you see other people like they're ahead or they did this really well, then you're like, I want to try to be like that. Right?
I agree with you, and I think I tell people all the time is that like I have like my the big celebrity inspiration, but like a lot of people that I'm actually inspired by are just like local people that I've known throughout my whole life, and I just see them doing amazing things, and it just inspires me to want to do amazing things as well.
Oh, for sure. Like just the fact that you guys are today is so inspiring for our audience as well, right? Building startups, So I think it's amazing because we have many people that want to build companies, and I think your story is quite inspirational. For people to, hey, there's this path I can actually build something with impact and could be, why not the next Google or the next big thing, right? So that's awesome. Great. So one thing we chatted about this earlier was pivoting, right? So we heard this term and it's like becomes annoying, it's like, let's talk about pivoting because I know it's like sometimes as founders, we get stuck in one idea, whether it's like one marketing channel, even the product itself. Maybe talk about like if you pivoted or have any advice pivoting.
So we've had 7 pivots.
7. All right, guys, 7. Yeah. All right.
We finally hit a product that there's demand for. It's very close to product market fit, I think. But we initially started as a peer-to-peer hitchhiking app.
Oh my goodness.
We wanted to just build a mobile app where it's like a virtual thumb in the air.
Right,
and
right.
it got shut down by everybody.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious.
But I think the best advice came from one of your mentors, right?
Yeah, like I mean, actually, like someone that is in my network and one of my buddies, Zane, who's at Fix. And he told me one of the biggest advice that he had was the idea of you gotta put your ego to the side and listen to the market.
Right.
That's
and so
if
true.
we stuck at the Hitchhiker app, we would not be here talking to you today.
Right.
We'd be doing something else and probably just back in like this corporate job.
Back at a full-time job.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
right.
We listen to the market and see where the demands
That's
are,
so
and
true.
we pivot according to it. And we put the ego to the side, and we just because at the beginning of the day is like tackling the commute was the problem.
Right.
Trying to find a solution for that. So it doesn't necessarily need to be one way, but as long as we solve that problem, it has an impact for like everyone.
Right.
And that's really the goal.
Oh, for sure. Because I think pivoting is like because sometimes you get stuck in one idea, right? It's like and you stop listening to other people, which is bad. It's like you think the idea is so big and it's just nobody cares.
Yeah.
Right. So like you said, I think market data, looking at if people are gonna use this thing or not, right? And kind of like being honest with yourself. It's good. Also, the fact that you have a co-founder too, it's good because you're not gonna drink your own Kool-Aid because right? It's like, oh my god, my idea is so great, but like nobody cares, right? So I think having those elements is such a key for startups. I think when it comes to pivoting, is just looking at the data, the market, and then kind of see, okay, this is a good idea to continue or not. So, was there any point you're like, okay, we're gonna completely do something else, or like how did you? Was there a dark point where you're like, I don't know what's going on, or
December last year?
Yeah.
December last year, we really considered shutting down and just
Oh my
restarting
goodness.
something.
Yeah.
We ended up just pivoting out into something else, but that's when we made the shift from like peer to peer to B2B.
Right.
Being just a software company, not owning our own fleet.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because there's so many famous pivots in startups, right? Like Slack was a video, like a gaming thing in the beginning. Even YouTube. People don't know YouTube was actually a dating site. For those of you who don't know, it's like and then they ended up pivoting. But I think the key is just to continue.
Yes.
Yeah. Continue. But like you said, I think looking at what other people think about it, because nobody cares about really your idea, right? It's just nobody cares. It's like whether people are going to use it or not. I think that's the best measure.
Yeah.
It's like if people are actually going to sign up or they're going to try out the product, but that's probably a good measure.
So we have a group of like 20 or 30 people that have been with us since the beginning, and we test everything with them.
That's amazing. That's really good. So are these people like mentors?
No, they were random signups from the P2P model.
Oh, no way.
And they just stuck with us the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then they just tell you like if they like it or like
Totally
kind of
honest
like
feedback,
honest feedback. That's the best.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you ask friends and family, they're like, "Oh, this is a great idea."
Just support-wise,
Yeah, it's so good. I'm like, okay, like what's the point, right? It kind of makes you feel good about yourself and your idea, but like you need to hear that harsh reality. It's like, okay, this is where it sucks, or like this is where it needs to change even. So, but I think those are great pointers. Yeah, awesome. So for our audience that want to learn more about your startup, where do they go?
Our social media handles are Hopin Tech. The website is hopintech.com.
Yeah, so Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah.
I guess Instagram is probably the most active one that we're using right now, and LinkedIn and Facebook. But yeah, any of those handles in Hopin Tech.
Send us a DM. We love to hear the stories of commutes.
Oh, for
we
sure.
want to understand how people commute and what we can do to help.
That's right. That's a great call to action for our audience. So I think that should wrap it up for today. Yeah. So thank you so much for both of you joining.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, like it's a pleasure. We look forward to having you connect with our audience and look forward to your startup development.
Sure.
So thanks again for joining.